After Remco Evenepoel's demonstration in the time trial yesterday, it's on to stage 5, which is, on paper, the most straightforward outing of the week. The climbs are fairly shallow and the last of them comes around 30k from the finish line, so there is a good chance we'll have a bunch sprint in Mâcon.
I think in general a guy like Milan should survive this stage, and I hope and guess they will take control of the stage. Also Akkerman should survive this, so I hope that we will get a sprint and that we will get through safely and without any big problems.
Mathieu van der Poel has been aggressive since the start and he impressed against the clock yesterday. The Dutchman wants to keep the green jersey, so he will no doubt be right up there in a sprint.
Today is a bit different, I think. It's also the last stage where the fast guys have a chance, and I assume more teams will want to sprint, so I think it will be a more controlled stage.
Jonathan Milan will once again be the man to beat, so his Little Trek teammates, even those who've had some freedom this week, will be all in for the Italian. Today we're going to try to control for Jonathan, that's our objective. We'll do everything to make it a bunch sprint in Mâcon. I think the final's a bit easier than in previous days. Yesterday he felt pretty good, so yeah, we'll go with him today. Stage 5 is 183 kilometres from Saint-Priest on the outskirts of Lyon up to Mâcon. The elevation gain is the lowest of the race at a shade over 2,000 metres, but there are still 4 minor climbs which could interest the polka dot pretenders before the expected bunch sprint. Well, there was a lively start to proceedings, with the riders clipping along at more than 45 kilometres an hour over the first 2 hours. There were 5 men at the front: Jordan Lebrosse, Enzo Leinzer, Benjamin Thomas, Thibaut Gernelec and his teammate Pierre Thierry already in the breakaway on stage 1. But the race didn't just settle down into the usual pattern, with a series of counter-attacks in the hilly part of the stage. Total Energy's teammates Mathieu Bergadeau and Matteo Verche looked to bridge across with Tobias Foss, who attacked like this several times at Paris-Nice back in March. The peloton weren't far behind though, and on the third climb the composition of the chase group changed. Foss going again, this time with Alex Baudin, Gregor Mühlberger and Tobias Bayer. The breakaway now leading by just over a minute, with the chasers only 20 seconds or so ahead of the peloton. Well, meanwhile, Harold Tejada, who began the day 7th overall, was forced to abandon the race after hitting the deck early on. Pascal Ackermann also crashed out on a day where he was one of the top favourites for the sprint. Well, 3 climbs down, 1 to go, with the riders approaching the intermediate sprints. Well, Foss, Baudin and Mühlberger were soon wheeled back in, with Soudal Quickstep and Lidl Trek driving the peloton. On the other hand, the 5 escapees had increased their gap to around a minute and a half. Game on. On the final climb of the day, the Côte des Quatre Chemins, Alpecin de Koenig took over pacing duties for Van der Poel, trying to make life hard for Milan. UNOX Mobility also getting involved as they caught up with Thierry, who'd been dropped from the breakaway. The gap coming down to just 25 seconds at the summit. Milan was briefly distanced, but he had enough teammates around him to get back into the bunch on the descent. The kilometres ticking down as the peloton began to chase the breakaway in earnest. Lidl Trek back on the front for Milan. The front group was soon down to just 3 riders as Leinzer was dropped. Lebrosse, Gernelec and Thomas giving it their all on this run-in. Track star Thomas putting in some huge turns to give this trio hopes of an improbable victory and earning the most combative rider prize. But the long, wide roads into Mâcon worked against them, and it was finally game over with just under 2k to go. The sprint trains fighting for position before a late hairpin turn around this roundabout.
Crash and Bardet's down, Remco Evenepoel is down.
Apparently nothing serious for Evenepoel as the sprinters unleashed.
Big move by Jake Stewart. He launches early. Stewart goes for it. Milan tries to get on the wheel. Jake Stewart all the way down the middle. Stewart is going to take a stage victory in the Dauphiné. Jake Stewart wins stage 5.
Well, Jake Stewart surging to a commanding victory. The British rider came to the Dauphiné as Ackermann's lead-out man, but having already come 5th on stage 1 when the German punctured, he took the win today, giving his team something to celebrate after Ackermann unfortunately crashed out. It's his 4th career win and the very first at World Tour level.
That one feels good. I think it's such a shame with Ackermann again. He crashed today, and then it was handed over to me there for the final. But it was also a really good day for him. So yeah, I'm gutted for him there that he didn't get to contest the finish. But the boys backed me, and the GSs backed me, and the team backed me, and yeah, they did an awesome job. And just so happy that I could finish off from.
Stewart taking the win comfortably ahead of Axel LAURANCE, Søren WÆRENSKJOLD and Laurence Pithy, with Milan finally 5th. And Van der Poel in 9th. EVENEPOEL didn't look too affected by his late crash and remains 4 seconds clear of Florian LIPOWITZ overall. ROMEO lost 22 seconds and slips to 6th, while everyone below Tejada moved up a place. Van der Poel is still on course to win the points classification. His lead is up to 28 points over Stewart and Milan. Paul Orselan still leads the mountains classification. Le Bros and Thomas shared the day's polka dot points and they sit 4th and 5th in the standings. EVENEPOEL also holds the white jersey by 4 seconds from LIPOWITZ, with ROMEO now 31 seconds back in 3rd. Well, the climbing starts in earnest tomorrow with a summit finish in Combloux, which will warm us up nicely for the weekend. Do tune in for stage 6 on Friday, and thanks for watching.